Welcome to True Grape. Our pick this week is the Gray Monk Pinot Gris 2011 vintage from the Okanagan, BC, and it retails for $22.99. And I'm joined by George and Trudy Heiss. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Welcome
Thank
back
you.
to Edmonton.
Thank you.
It is.
Fantastic.
We do have a soft spot for Edmonton, you
Yes.
know that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And why don't we start with that? Well, let's start before that. George, how did you find yourself coming to Edmonton?
Well, I had a job offer for Edmonton in Vienna at the beauty salon of my parents where I work. And I thought, well, why not? And I thought, well, I'd come for maybe 2 years and learn English and so on, and then go back. And then I met Trudy, and the rest is history.
Well, actually, he looked at the map and he saw the mountains were quite close, but he forgot how big Canada was. And so he thought, well, he can go skiing, but he forgot it's 300 miles away. So
Absolutely. Now, how is it that you guys made it from Edmonton, hairdressers in Edmonton,
yes,
to the Okanagan, and not just in the Okanagan, but really at the forefront of the wine industry in the modern sense as we know it in the Okanagan?
yes. How that happened, we don't know. It just happened. But we were looking for a change in careers. George wanted to still leave the hairdressing profession when he still liked it. He didn't want to be an old hairdresser, a grouchy old hairdresser, he called himself. And I had some physical issues with my back and so on. So anyway, we were looking at different things to do. So my dad started growing grapes in the Okanagan, and after several different choices where he said, oh, don't do that, he said, well, then you might as well grow grapes, and that's how it started. So, but at that time there were no estate wineries. It was only the commercial wineries, and
But he was also the one who told us about the place
we should buy.
we first bought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he said, look, this corner is for sale. That would be great for grapes. Yeah. So we looked at it, and the year after we bought it.
Well, first we looked at it and couldn't afford it.
Yeah. And then we looked at it, we still couldn't afford
No,
it, but we bought
but
it
we bought it
anyway.
anyway. So we sold everything, our little sailboat that we built in St. Albert, and we sold everything we could. We would have sold the kids if somebody would have given us money for it, but
No, they wanted something on top of them. Yeah,
so then we started with the hybrids, of course. That's what the commercial wineries wanted. There was no such thing as an estate winery, so we were growing grapes. And we kept thinking, these are not the grape varieties that we want to start with. And but to make some money, we did plant them, and we sold them to the commercial wineries, Jordan Saint Michel at the time. And then, in the meantime, we start looking at the vinifera from Europe. We thought if we were going to play in the big, the sandbox of the world of wine, we needed to have the vinifera. And by the time we got the import permit, we brought in Pinot Gris. And Pinot Gris and Auxerrois and the French clone of Gewürztraminer. 50 plants of Pinot Gris, 2,000 plants of Auxerrois, and 10 plants of Gewürztraminer. Would you believe it? So, and we really felt that was a variety. It constantly sold out in European markets. And it's got about 23 different names. It's got Roulander, Pinot Gris, Pinot Grigio. And so that's how we started. And then we grafted. We had the 50 plants, and we had a lot of budwood and rootstock, and we grafted. And then we planted those, and we propagated from those over the years. The great thing is that today it's the most planted white grape variety in British Columbia. It's surpassed Chardonnay, and it is the grape variety for our area. So hence our Pinot Gris.
And that's fantastic. And 2012 marks a trio. Of milestones.
Yes.
For you. 30 years of producing wine.
Yes.
40 years of growing grapes.
Yes.
And 50 years of marriage.
That's right.
Now, how have you seen the wine industry change in the Okanagan? Because what we know the Okanagan now is very different from when you first started.
Oh, yes, yeah. We were a very small group. We really believed we could do it. We faced free trade. We faced a pull-out program where the Mulroney government of the time said, listen, we're doing free trade, pull them out, you're too small, we've got bigger fish to fry, And we said, wait a minute, we're growing these varieties already. They're doing well. We've got a lot of money invested, and we felt that this would really go. So we went down with a free trade agreement and the pull-out program. We went down to about 900 acres, 80 growers, and
today it's 10,000.
I think there were 7 wineries at the time.
Yeah.
So some of the big boys have gone away, were gobbled up by each other, and we kind of hung in there. And it was a really interesting time because we really believed in what we were doing, and we pulled together. We made the trips to Victoria, and we said, wait a minute, if you sign that paper, we're not going to be there. You're going to kill us right there. So they would change it, and we helped write the rules. And today, of course, it's basically everybody gets a license,
right,
because the government believes in free trade and free enterprise, and everybody's on their own hook, you see. And so we've got all sizes and wineries that, some are very small, some are a little bit bigger. We're one of the biggest estate wineries, and still the same owners and no other partners. And we started with 175 cases in 1980, and last year we made 81,000 cases. And the good thing is we have a market for all of it.
Absolutely. That's always the best
thing. And that's sort of the industry,
right.
That's sort of in a nutshell. I mean, you don't have that many hours, but...
Absolutely. Now, with how the industry has evolved from the time you started until the present, what do you see in terms of the future for the industry? Are there things that you think are headed in the right direction? Are there things that you think that are not necessarily headed in the right direction that you would like to see changed? What are the positives and negatives in terms of the way the industry is evolving right now?
I think there's going to be a little bit of a sorting out of wineries. I think there's a lot of people who went into the business not doing their homework properly, and they went into because it's romantic and so. And we found very quickly that the romance lasted 5 days,
yes.
and then it was hard work.
Yes,
absolutely.
And now they're wondering, well, wait a minute, I got to grow the grapes, I got to make the wine. Now I got to find a market for it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's too much, and we get phone calls quite often. I got those grapes in the ground. I can't handle it myself. Would you run it?
Right.
The problem is that they took maybe 5 or 10 or 7 acres, and they put a huge house on it. I might be interested in the land,
right,
but I don't want to be a landlord.
I think it'll be a bit of it'll slow down a bit, because you can put a lot of grapes in the ground, but you have to find the markets,
Yeah,
and you have to make the right quality of wine. And just because you need $50 or $60 a bottle to stay in business, that's not really how it works. But I think it'll sort itself out. And the other thing is, we need to grow quality. We can't grow quantity. It's not an industry for quick buck artists, and you're in for the long haul. And holding the price and having people enjoy the product, still be able to buy it.
Absolutely.
Because the fellow that comes in, or the lady, and 65% of ladies buy the wine, their hard-earned dollar, they turn it over a little bit with the economy today. And, we want them to enjoy that bottle of wine that we made. And maybe because we're bigger, the economy of scale
Sure.
has something to do with it. But if you're only making 500 or 1,000 cases or 2,000, it's very difficult to do that and then find the markets that are going to support you.
Well, I think one of the reasons why you've been successful and why you've had the longevity that you've had is you're producing really great quality wines, and the price-quality ratio is really there. And I think one of the issues or the complaints that we often hear from consumers is that Canadian wines are too expensive for the quality that they're at. And I think where you guys have really excelled is producing great quality wines, but still being affordable for people to be able to drink on an everyday basis.
Yeah.
Go ahead and taste your.
Thank you.
This is your namesake.
Yes, this is
namesake.
Pinot Gris, the Gray Monk grape in Austria, or the Gray Friar grape in Hungary, and Ruländer in Germany, and Pinot Grigio in Italy.
Now, and Pinot Gris really has become, I think, the signature white grape of the Okanagan.
Yes. Yeah.
What are the characteristics that you look for in Pinot Gris What when somebody is to taste this wine, what is it that you would like them to see?
Flavors are, I think, a
Flavors.
little bit citrus.
It is some,
They have some peach,
yeah,
depending on the
peach,
year.
Yes, depending on the
yeah.
year. And 90% of the time you're going to see a little bit of a
Pink
hue
hue
in
to
it,
it.
because that's from the skins.
Absolutely.
And I find tropical fruit definitely.
Right,
You know,
right.
melons, ideal with any type of seafood.
Right.
This is
So-
a 2011 Pinot Gris, which we made 17,000 cases of this last year, and to me it's a bit of a fruit bomb, you know, and but it's just been people are just crazy over this wine, you know.
No, it has that great texture, nice
texture,
roundness
yeah,
on,
yeah,
on the palate,
yeah.
and but it still has a nice little touch of acidity on the.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, you try to do that. Of course, we don't put any of our white wines in oak at all, because we want you to be able to tell what's a Pinot Gris from a Riesling or or Kerner. So I think it's sacrilege to put this wine into oak.
So, what would you recommend for food pairings with this one?
Ooh, salmon, seafood. Yeah, for sure. Especially at the West
Thai.
Coast cuisine, or
Some Thai food.
Thai food. Yes.
So, you're at the forefront of the Okanagan wine industry. For you guys, what is next? Are you working on any new projects, or is it a situation now where you're happy where things are, and are you handing things over to the next generation?
A little bit.
Yeah. We've got 3 sons in the business and a grandson, actually 2 grandsons this year.
Yeah.
Kieran is out in the field, our oldest grandson, who loves to be out there. And then Christopher, who worked in the wine shop this year. They're still, like Kieran, Christopher still goes to school and, to university, and he's sort of techno-weenie, But for us, it's, we have so many ideas up here. And this is still working, thank God, and nothing else is, but this is. And it's very tough for us because we're realizing we're running out of our days and years. And so unfortunately, we have to start pulling back because health-wise, it's just too much, And so we'll probably be out here, doing our, what I call the antique road show. And
well, if we would be 20 years younger, this conversation would be
totally different, yeah.
Yeah, we still have a lot of ideas, but we're trying to sort of pass it on, but I don't know if we're going to be there to get it to flourish, So,
yeah.
But you have to be very, very happy and very proud
We are.
of what you've established.
Yes.
Because,
We are.
Because as we spoke about how the Okanagan wine industry has developed, I mean, you guys are really a major part of that.
Oh yes.
And I think the entire country has to thank you quite a bit, because it's really a situation where 15, 20, 25 years ago, there wasn't a lot that Canadians could say, hey, we have a great wine industry.
Right.
Today, we can actually say that, a lot of the wines being produced in this country can compare very favorably in quality to some of the best wines in the world.
I think we can play in that big sandbox really well.
Yeah.
It's not about the money.
No.
It's not about the money. It's about achieving something, being proud of what you achieved.
Our pick again this week is the Gray Monk Pinot Gris 2011 vintage from the Okanagan in BC. Retails for $22.99. George, Judy.
Cheers.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
So much.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thanks for
Cheers.
having us.
And that's the best part of the whole business.
Absolutely.